crafting dreams from bits and bytes. Microsoft magic, it's out of sight. Got a Copilot, watch it take flight. Got into the code day and night. Crafting dreams from bits and bytes. Microsoft magic, it's out of sight.
Hello, everybody out there. Ricardo Wilkins here with another Cap for Copilot, Copilot Adoption Practices, CAP. aka.ms / cap4copilot is probably how you got here. Glad to see you again. You may be joining on LinkedIn or YouTube. We're streaming at both. And whichever one you're in, feel free to use the comments to say hi or to ask a question or anything like that. Happy to hear from you. Glad you joined us once again. Happy Thursday here in April with the weather starting to get a little better. And with that in mind, we'll just dive on in to talk about, as we always do, you're just here to geek out on Copilot and AI and best practices and tips and tricks on how to use it. Today I thought I'd do, I usually just bring up things that have happened during the week with customers and conversations or my own personal use. If you've ever heard of anybody refer to something as like a super prompt, it's usually like a really big, massive prompt that usually or hopefully generates a pretty elaborate and useful response. I had been using one in some of my meetings this week. I thought I'd go through that. Actually, do a little switcheroo here. Yep, do that. And in fact, no, let's do make that a little better. There we go. Yeah. Thought I'd go through that. So, when you're prompting for Copilot, they can, your prompts can be elaborate, and elaborate or bigger prompts can tend to generate a little better results in the in the response, but they don't have to be big. In fact, what I'll show here is we'll start with a super prompt, but then we'll just show how we can still get to the same result, without having to type out 3 paragraphs, as you'll see here. So let me bring up, I'm on the right thing here. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Yep. We come over to Copilot and Teams here. And I think I got one from earlier. I think it might be this one. Let's scroll to the top. This is not where I want to start. Let me start here. Let's scroll up. So if you can see this is what I would tend to call a super prompt. This is, one prompt I'm asking Copilot to do. It's like six sentences, or 3. I broke it into like 3 paragraphs. So let's dive into what essentially what I'm trying to do is summarize emails, but instead of the standard summary that you usually get, if you can just say summarize my emails, and you'll get some results, and they might be exactly what you need. In this one, I tried to be a little more elaborate. So in this one, I said, summarize at least 5 emails. I just kind of wanted to tone down how many I got from my inbox. And I say in prose, and basically that's saying, make it elaborate, make it like something like a book for me to read, you use plenty of words. In fact, I even say here, go as long as you need to cover the topics, right? So just be verbose, comprehensive. Combine any emails from the same threads into an easy to digest summary. So don't just take each one and give me a summary. If you see a relationship there, combine them into one summary. Why am I doing it? Again, we know about the 4 ingredients to a good prompt. So one of them is, why am I doing this? I'm trying to see what I need to know to be prepared to start my day. I'm also telling it in this case to make sure to include emails from Bob or Jean. In this demo environment, I got a lot of emails, kind of like administrator type emails, but I want to make sure there's some from some individuals in this tenant that are part of this. That's why I added that. And then I continue to say, for each thread, show the relative date and time it came in, and pull out 2 quotes from the email or the thread and include them as bullet points under each summary, but don't use a separate header. And the quote should be formatted in markdown italics and in quotation marks. We'll see what that looks like here in a sec. And I'll say after each summary, add a table with a column for a very short summary and a column for a rating system. Now I said 3 basketballs because I happen to have recently done a session on Copilot where the theme was March Madness. So I pulled this from that. What you'll probably want to say, unless you're really a basketball fanatic, you can certainly keep that in, but you might want to say a 3-star rating system. But use a 3 basketball rating system here to show me how important the email might be, and a column telling me the level of urgency. All right, so let's see the results. I put that in again. This is from my history, so I'm bringing up what has come up before. And so here we go. So here's a summary of the inbox, including those from Bob and Jean. They are hyperlinked there because licensed Copilot knows who they are in my organization. So the first one, around the September 22nd timeframe, Project Falcon. Both Bob and Jean have been providing updates on Project Falcon. And then here you see it pull 2 verbatim quotes from the emails. Again, that might be useful, to kind of pull something out that might trigger something, for me to think about or to do. So it found some quotes from I think both of those are from Bob. So yeah, it's talking about Bob. And then Jean, on the other hand, uses blah, blah, blah. He's talking about some things, pulls some things out that Jean said. And then at the end of that summary, we get into this 3-column table that I asked for, a little summary of what this was, its importance in terms of how many basketballs, or in your case, how many stars. So it thinks this is a 3-star, 3 basketball worth of importance. And it is determined it's got a medium urgency. So again, it's using its reasoning to determine these things, and it's up to me to decide whether that's true. But this is going to be useful and helpful. I'm really going to be looking for something with high urgency if I'm looking at what to start my day with, right? But it again continues to do that with other emails. So it found another thing about late task notifications, gave that 2 basketballs of importance, but urgency high. That's interesting. So that might be one I want to take a look at. And of course, it's probably likely because, talking about having a task due today. So that would explain the urgency. Here's a 2 basketball one with medium urgency, talking about role assignment notifications, Bob's involved, things like that. We got a 1 basketball importance and low urgency. And that makes sense. This is just like a weekly digest of some activities, probably some kind of, just mailing list kind of an email. And then another one, 2 basketballs, medium as well. And then it kind of wraps it up from there. So again, this, if I scroll back up to the top, this was that super massive 3-paragraph prompt that, of course, once I've typed up 3 paragraphs, you're going to want to save this, hit the the little bookmark there and save that prompt, because I don't want to type this every time, right? So I would save that. And if you haven't used it before, that's going to go in my Copilot prompt gallery. There are general prompts, and then there are my prompts. So you can see I've saved some from the past. But yes, I'm going to save that so that I can use it in the future without having to retype that. Okay. But yeah, it gave me some pretty good results, right? And of course, this report of my emails might be good enough that I might want to go ahead and hit edit in pages to put it over in a loop page, ready to go. And then maybe I want to share that with somebody, or copy it and pop it in my OneNote, or pop it in an email to somebody or something like that. So I'm able to do all of that with just a few clicks. So again, if I was starting my day with this, it could just be a few clicks, right? Go to the saved prompt, fire it off, then a click to get it into a loop page, or to copy it and then paste it somewhere else. Okay, so pretty nice results from that big, massive prompt. Okay, but if I was not great at big super prompts, or didn't want to put a lot of effort into that, then maybe let's show that approach. So if I come here, I think this is the right one. Yeah. So summarize my emails is the standard phrase that will get it done. And so I start with that. Again, no super prompt. I just start with summarize my emails. And it gives me what we typically see on the summary of emails, just trying to find some relevant emails, numbered, bulleted, very short, quick statements there, trying to give me the summary, get me going quick and easy, right? So it looks like it did about 10 of them there. Nice little summaries. So that could be cool, and links me to the emails that are related. So that's cool. Now, I want to continue the conversation with Copilot about this summary to try to get to that end result that I got with that one great massive summary. So then I'm going to try to not tone it down, but kind of focus it to a few emails. So now I'm saying just summarize 3. All right, no problem. It does that. Still the same format as before, but it does give me 3 instead. Summarize. Now, my next thing I say, summarize them in prose. And again, a keyword here is them. I don't have to repeat summarize my emails in prose. Copilot knows we're talking about emails and knows about the specific emails we're talking about. So them is fine. Summarize them in prose. That means take these quick summaries you've been doing and be more elaborate. So, okay, here we go. Now I'm giving you paragraphs, or kind of almost like a book to read about the summaries, as opposed to those bullets. All right, so that's cool. Now I'm continuing. Now I'm saying, well, combine any emails from the same threads into a summary. Go as long as you need. I'm trying to prepare for my day. Again, I'm just pulling little pieces from that super prompt and just doing them iteratively. And Copilot is happy to adjust. So it is now done now. You can see it's starting to look a little more like the other results. Again, no table yet. I didn't ask for a table in this session, but it is giving me some summaries and things like that. Be sure to include some emails from Bob or Jean. Okay, and remember, keep doing it in prose. I tell it that. So it's now again giving me essentially the same thing, but I think at some point here at the bottom, it has made sure it included at least one summary from a couple of emails from Bob and Jean. So now they're included as well, along with the others. So now I keep going. For each thread, give me the relative date and time, and pull out those quotes. And so now we got a new addition to that. Again, it's fine with repeating it, or it knows to take what it was working with and repeat it with my changes. So now we got a few quotes for each of the emails that it was summarizing. Still no table because I haven't asked for that, but we're looking good. I'm liking it. Sure, but then now I'm saying after each summary, add the table. And this time I did say a 3-star rating system to show me how important the email might be. I didn't ask about urgency yet. just asked about the 3-star rating system. It's happy to do that. It continues to do the stuff before, doesn't throw anything away. It's adding on to it. So now I've got the summary and I've got importance in a star system instead of a basketball system. So it's happy to do that. A lot of these are 3-star importance and then 1 2-star. Okay, so I got a lot of important things going on. Then I add in that table, and again, a keyword, that table, it's fine understanding that. In that table, include a column telling me urgency. Rinse and repeat. I'll give you everything I gave you before, and I give you the table, and now I'll add a column for urgency. Happy to do that for you, right? So we keep going with that. Then I started to get a little tricky with this, actually, because as I looked at this summary, I thought to myself, well, I like these tables. They give me this quick little summary and the stars and the urgency. I want to put all of those little tables together. So I told it to do that. So I said, take all those table rows and put them together into one table. Happy to do that. Grabs each table from each of those summaries, puts them all together in one. So now I've got a quick glance that can show me the importance and my little rating system and the urgency, all together. I think I started to get even more elaborate in that. So now that I've got this nice table, and some of these things I know I'm going to have to do some research to answer the person. It's some technical, question. So then I said, show me links from learn.microsoft.com that can help me address some of these emails. Put the links in the table with a column referencing the email that might be helped. So in other words, help me get started with my day in responding to this. So this facilitator agent question that got that somebody asked in an email, here's a link to what that is, that I can go read, that maybe I can help, it can help me to go answer that email, right? Somebody gave me a task management email. Well, here's a link to managing projects with projects, and all of these things. So again, now Copilot is not just summarizing my emails. Now it's helping me do the research to go respond to my emails. But I'm super lazy. Not only do I want you to help me with the research, go ahead and actually just draft a response to that facilitator email. Have at it. And it's happy to do that too, right? So it has put something together. Now I really would have to check this and, go read the email question, read this response, make sure it's good. But it's possible that it has done an email here for me that I like. And what normally would have taken me maybe half an hour to research and then compose 3 paragraphs of a response. It's possible I could have got this done in maybe 5 minutes, using Copilot. So I kind of went from that summary and just kept going with that session to say, okay, you summarized it. Now help me research. Okay, you gave me some research tips. Now help me compose the reply. And I could have done that for any one of them. I mean, I could have said, help compose a reply to the security notifications email. And I suspect it would have known, which one I'm talking about and would have done that accordingly. So if you are not prone to making super prompts, just at least remember that it's perfectly fine to start with a simple prompt and then iterate over it throughout the session, and end up in the same result. Now that's of course going to take longer as I'm letting it print each response and then I'm adding a little more, but it might be more intuitive to how you work. But if you do end up coming with a super prompt that you end up liking, then saving that off and just firing off this 3-paragraph prompt will certainly be quicker, right? We started with the super prompt and then broke it down. If I hadn't, then I'd have to kind of go through this thread here and kind of look at all the little things I asked for in order to build my super prompt and kind of work in reverse in order to get to that. But still, that could be useful. I certainly would not. You can see each of these I could save. I don't think that I would save each of these small ones, but kind of putting them all together into that super prompt. To me, that big one there, where we go, that big one to me is worth saving. I do not want to have to type that every morning. So that is good stuff there. And then, of course, if we were starting over, we'd hit new chat, get a nice fresh page, fresh conversation, and we're ready to go all over again. All right. Good stuff. All right. Good stuff. So hope that was helpful. Again, just another one of those tips and tricks for using Copilot. Email summaries tends to be a popular usage. And really, the goal is make sure you kind of see you don't have to settle for just summarize my emails. You can be a little more elaborate and get some interesting results there. If you got ideas about other things that could add there, I mean, like a star system, a urgency column, I'd be curious to see what other kind of things you add in your summaries that make it useful for you. Do you use tables? What kind of columns do you use? Things like that. So yeah, so hopefully that was cool. And I wasn't checking. Okay, there we go. Got that. Awesome. So again, we're here mostly every week, aka.ms/cap4copilot. And all of these are also at that link on the website. All of the other previous sessions are there. I think today is episode 19, I think. And so we'll keep it going as long as we're helpful. All right. So glad to see you. Happy Thursday. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you next time. All right. Have a good one.